In this video, I'm going to figure out a way to make it so that when I push this start button, the timer starts and then the pause button appears, so then I could pause the countdown. So I could start the countdown and pause the countdown. And I'm going to decompose this problem into a couple of steps. The first step I'm going to code is I'm going to figure out how to get it so that the button changes from the start button when I click on it to the pause button, and then the pause button to the start button. Well, let's see if I can code that up. First, I want to take that start button that is currently out there, and I want it to go away when I click on it. So by clicking on it, I'm actually going to change its visibility property. I'm going to set that visibility when I click on that button. I'm going to set that visibility to false. So I'm going to set the button count visibility to false. And that is found all the way up in logic. There's a true and a false. So I'm going to set it to false. So when I click on that button, it's going to go away. I'm going to duplicate that code, and I'm going to say then I want the pause button to become visible. So one button disappears and another button appears. Let's see if that works. Oh, that worked. But this didn't switch. Well, of course it didn't switch. I didn't code it yet. So I'm going to code that button. But since this code is so similar to the code I want for the pause button, I'm just going to duplicate it. I'm going to switch the code now to be when the pause is clicked. So this is when start is clicked. This is when pause is clicked. I'm just going to reverse it. So what's true is false. What's false is true. Let's try that and see if it works. Right now it's on pause, so when I click on it, it should switch it to true, and this should press to start the countdown, pause the countdown, start the countdown. It's working perfectly. The button is switching when I click on it. Notice how I write some code, test it, write some code, test it. Now the next thing I want to do is I want that countdown timer to start. And the way I have it set up is kind of behind the scenes, so you're just going to have to trust me on this. But what I have is I've got the clock, and what I do is I turn the clock on and off by using the timer enabled and timer true and false. So when I want to start the countdown, I'm going to want to set that timer enabled to true. And when I want to disable the countdown, here I'm just going to duplicate this block of code. I'm going to set it to false. So the timer should start when I clicked on the start button, and it should pause when I click on the pause button. Let's see if that works. So I put it in the phone, and when I push start, the timer starts. Beautiful. Then when I press pause, the timer pauses. Beautiful. Let's see if that messes it up. Perfect. Everything is working exactly as I expected, and I'm happy to see that start and stop button, or the start and pause button, are working exactly as I had hoped.